And welcome to episode 2 of the Football Fanatic podcast. I'm your host, Declan O'Connor, and with me this week we have Daniel Coulter. I learned my lesson from last week. Howard Costello and Kieran O'Connor. Gents, good to have you with me. How are you doing?
Good, Nick.
All
All
good,
good,
Nick.
Dick.
Dan, notice you're in the car. That's commitment. Fair play to you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
showing a lot more commitment than Saedo and Lavia by the looks of things. So
Absolutely. And
That's
just
true,
seeing
yeah.
before we went on air, Lavia looks to be on his way to Chelsea as well. So Liverpool are getting rightly spanked at the moment. Yeah, really good feedback on episode 1. Much appreciated. Some really good messages. If you want to get in contact with the show, you can follow us on Instagram at Football Fanatic Podcast, email footballfanaticpodcast@gmail.com. And most importantly, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is at Football Fanatic Pod, and the subscribe button is just below the screen. So we will get straight into it, man. We're going to start with a weekend review of the fixtures. So it was brilliant to have it back. I was watching Friday night City versus Burnley, so obviously I was delighted. Haaland picked up from where he left off. But we're going to start with the Chelsea versus Liverpool game that was on yesterday. So I suppose what I took from this game, because there was so much hype about it, the defensive midfielder role that was lacking in both teams. And I think for me, anyways, that was quite obvious. Dan, you're a Liverpool fan, so I'll go to you first.
yeah, thoughts on the game. I thought the first 30 minutes, if you had said that we would have drawn the game, I would have been disgusted. The next 60 after that, I was kind of happy with a point. Thought that Chelsea probably that they probably would deserve 3 points, to be honest. They had a lot more control of the game second half and a lot more chances. It's a hard one to know. I kind of felt like, my prediction was that we'd beat them maybe 2-1. But we were more, I think my comments last week were that we were more structured than they are in regards, we were more settled side. Obviously, Chelsea side yesterday, or it would have been very difficult to have picked what the starting 11 was going to be, what way they were going to play. Where you kind of knew near enough what way our setup was going to be and who would nearly start for us, maybe outside of the attacking positions. So it was disappointing to see that for the last 60 minutes of that game, it looked very much more like Chelsea had more of an idea of the way they wanted to play than we did. Would probably my assessment of it. To be dominated that badly in the second half, where we couldn't get the ball at all for large periods of it, wasn't good. We weren't able to fill the gaps or the spaces. The press was kind of non-existent second half. We kind of sat back and really just trying to look to break on the counter. And Chelsea impressed me, to be honest. I really didn't know what anyone really knows what they expected on the season, but there's no doubt that a 6 again, it's been highlighted on several occasions, especially most recently with some of the bizarre transfer moves that Liverpool have made. But it's not the only problem there. We're way too easy to play against. And last season, Fabinho was our 6, and I know at times he was very poor, but we were way too easy to play against with Fabinho and Henderson on the side, who were defensive-minded players. And then when you look at our lineup yesterday, I think it was probably near enough the best what we had on offer in the midfield, but it was very attacking. Like McAllister was playing in the sixth role, the deep role. That's not his position. Gapco again. I know Klopp thinks he can play there. I'm not so sure. Again, he's attack-minded. Sabazalai is attack-minded, so it was very much kind of in that open 30 minutes, you could see anytime we got the ball, it looked like we could score. But
I thought actually sorry to interrupt you, just on that, when he did score, I thought it was beautiful.
Oh, brilliant.
It was a beautiful
pass from Salah.
The pass from Salah, it was a De Bruyne-esque pass, literally through the eye of a needle. He found Diaz. It was a lovely finish.
Just the pace of the ball, because you can see Diaz running, but and you can say it looks like a simple pass, but the pace of the ball was the key.
And the two of them in pre-season look like they kind of have a good link up. They kind of know where each other is at. And as well, it was a good goal. I thought that second one, we're unlucky. It was just offside. I think if that went in and we were 2 up, we might have went on to win by a couple more. To be honest, I thought that we were playing that well at the time. But again, just defensively, lads, it's a carbon copy of watching us last season, where it's just, anytime all it takes is one ball over the top. Even Sterling, who was shite for most of the last season, even looked like he had a half decent game, and especially in the first half, he was half decent. So I don't know.
I agreed. I thought Raheem actually had a really good game yesterday.
Point is a good point for us, I think. So.
No, I agree. I agree. I thought a point overall was a fair result for both teams. Kieran, what did you think of the game?
I thought there were two very tight VAR decisions,
Yeah.
especially the Chilwell one. I mean, I think he was so surprised himself that and seeing it back on the replay afterwards, you could see just how tight it was. Two marginal calls, but when I was tuning into the second half, so I caught kind of, I suppose, Liverpool defending and Liverpool kind of fighting for the life a little bit. So I didn't get before Salah's substitution, but I thought Salah being pulled off or being taken off, he wasn't quite too happy with the decision.
No.
And for every piece
How-
of tape he was
Yeah.
taking off every single finger, it was like he was a gesture for the crowd of sorts. But for me, for the few moments I saw when they brought on Ben Doak and I think it was Harvey Elliott as well, Liverpool had much more gusto, much more momentum when
Energy,
Salah was
yeah.
taken off.
Yeah.
So for me, now I'm talking about the limited time which I saw Salah on before he was taken off. It was actually a wise substitution because that guy Ben Doak, he's going to be a special talent once he matures and grows up even more. But overall, look, it's Liverpool and the defense, as you said, Dan. They're still kind of papering over a lot of the cracks from last year. They've lost some of those anchors in midfield, and they're racing to defend to replace them, but they're not doing so adequately. They're losing out to the basket case transfer policy that is Chelsea. And the last thing I'll just say is just I think it's so silly that Southampton said at the start of the transfer window, pay us 50 million, you'll get Lavia.
Yeah.
And Liverpool said, what about 28? What about 32? What about 36? And they bid 55 and they're not even going to get their guy.
Yeah.
So more questions and answers for Liverpool off the back of this summer, I think, even though I'd have a soft spot for them. I don't know if they're going to make top four based on one game, based on not even one game, 30 minutes
Of course. Just actually on that, Howard, just the fact that kind of Caicedo was in the news before the game, so people were highlighted to the fact of both teams needing a defensive midfielder. Did you think, I did anyways, like both teams seemed to be, like it was a chaotic game. Both teams were just going for it, and they both seem to be missing that defensive midfielder. Did you see that? Or
I think so. Well, yeah, I think Liverpool nearly more than Chelsea. Like Liverpool are just screaming out for a defensive hold midfielder. Like the idea I think for Chelsea is have Enzo there, and he'll be more of a kind of not box to box, but more of a playmaker, deep holding midfielder, and then you have the legs of Caicedo around him to kind of give him that kind of double pivot that will actually, be very hard to break down, and will keep the ball. The Lavia one is a strange one because, like, if I'm Lavia and I see, like, okay, I'm 19, I could be going straight into a Liverpool team, starting for the Liverpool team at a number 6 for the next 5 years. But no, I want to go to Chelsea now, and they have Enzo and Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo in midfield now. It's just a weird one. I'm just wondering, like, what is happening in these negotiations that players are just turning around and like, I really, really want to go to Chelsea. It's a bit weird. It's the wages, and I think it's probably the long contracts. Like they're saying, like, oh, they're giving us an 8-year contract. That's like I'm made for life. Like that's it. So let's see what happens. But I think, look, I'm starting to despise Chelsea myself. I really
only now.
Well, since the Mudryk thing, I remember last January, and Arsenal were trying to get in for him, and then all Chelsea come in and get it. And then I was delighted to see Liverpool, get one up with the Caicedo deal, and then all of a sudden, no. So yeah, it's kind of worrying, I suppose, to see Chelsea come back into things, but with financial fair play, I'm hearing stories of how this is going to last, and I think it's like 255 million a year now. They have like guaranteed spend with all this amortization or whatever you want to call it. So like that they're going to need to sell what they sold nearly every year that they did this year.
Yeah, just on that, Howard, right? I was reading today, since Todd Bowley came in, like, was it the start of last summer, give or take?
Yeah.
Nearly 900 million. Yeah, so I don't want to hear any one of you take the piss out of Manchester City again for a long time, and what we spend. Sorry, go on, Dan.
No, I think in the whole concept of that, though, that 8, 9 or 8-year contracts is that they can they're breaking it up, so they're kind of found a way around it. It's not the way it's working.
It is, yeah. They're bringing in these 8-year contracts, but I mean, surely that's a huge risk for a club to take.
It is wages wise as well, because if the player is shite or it doesn't work out, it's going to be very hard
Absolutely.
to get him out the door.
Yeah. Or do their ACL or
Okay.
whatever they're done.
So
Todd Bowley
just
collecting footballers like a player cheating on a football manager.
it is. That's what it's like, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just one last
Absolutely.
thing, Deck, before you just move on. I just think one thing I'm sure Liverpool fans would be interested in what we talk about is the Jackson handball. Did anyone what did anyone think of that? Did they think it was a handball, or did they think it would have been soft? Or
Dan?
I thought it might have been given. But it would have been hard. Like if it went against you, you would have been annoyed as well because it was kind of his hand wasn't out. It was kind of it was in. I think that was probably the
decider, yeah.
Decider in it. But I know it did get a strike online, an awful lot of controversy around whether it should have been or not. I think at the beginning, if you remember, at the beginning of the last season, handballs were being given for nearly anything.
Yeah.
And then that kind of season went on, that rule kind of changed. So I thought it might have been given, but again, it was one of them where, you know, I suppose it would have been harsh given his hand wasn't out. He wasn't. There was no one. It was so close to him. You know, it was across the box, and I don't think I'm not whinging about it anyway. So
yeah. I think I just listened to Carragher and Neville yesterday talking about Liverpool. Carragher is kind of worried about you defensively in the midfield. And Kieran, I'm going to go to you for this next question because Dan, you're biased. Howard, I'm just going to ask Kieran. I was hearing things today, and Dan sent me a clip. Klopp out. Kieran, is that ridiculous? Is it a possibility? Because I was talking to two people at work today, and they said it's not the most ridiculous thing they've heard. It's only one game into the season, but is that ridiculous?
Well, I think you're right. I'm the only person who can give a impartial view on this. I'm the fans fan.
You're a former Celtic fan, but
So if Klopp is going to go, I think there's really only one realistic way that he does go, and that's himself leaving from exhaustion or frustration or just becoming totally indifferent to the project. The fact that he's won what he's won with Liverpool means that he'll never really be forced out the door unless there's a calamity of a season where they're struggling to break into the top 10, you know, after a couple of months. But if they're still top 7, 8, you know, the owners will still be happy. Is Klopp going to go? Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. But I mean, I just think himself and Guardiola have done so much for their respective clubs that I think they are the two managers that I'm not going to say they're untouchable, but they have a lot of strength. They're nowhere near the type of strength that Ferguson had or Wenger had, but they do seem to kind of have a lot of say within their respective clubs. So I'd be shocked if he was ever sacked. I don't think he will be. And
that clip I sent you
time will tell.
And that clip I sent you was it was a radio talk show on Talksport. Yeah. A Liverpool fan came on and ranted and raved and came out and said, you know, that's what it was, what I'd said on. Like, and that's what I definitely don't think that there's any possibility of him going. The whole transfer thing, you've seen it with other managers in the past. Look at what Lopetegui at Wolves. Like he wasn't being supported at all and he left. And I think that if it goes now that we don't get a couple of players in, we have a poor season again, there would be a concern. I'd have a concern because if he's not going to be backed and he's been messed around with, which it looks like there's a bit of messing going on, you know, like with the way we've handled our business in the last couple of weeks is not the way we handle our business. So anyway, let's see what happens.
Okay, so weekend review. Manchester City, Burnley, 3-0. I was watching Friday night, and one stat that just kind of surprised me, but then, given how he performed last season, didn't really surprise me. 7 touches in the first half, 2 goals from those touches. Haaland seems to have picked up where he left off last season. I know, Dan, you have great time from Howard, as an Arsenal fan, I suppose that'll be an interesting point of view. What do you make of him?
Well, I think we all know what Haaland's like now at this stage after a season last season, but like it's just that fox at the ball, that instinct, like that second goal, like you know, like not many, if he's not even going to get that many chances, not many strikers even get put away them chances like at such quick, like top corner, like in the box. Like he's such a big guy, like to actually just get it out of his feet and just put it in top. You can't give him a sniff, like you really can't. And I think maybe people were wondering, oh, is he going to have the hunger? Has he slowed down in preseason? I think Dan, you mentioned he hadn't scored in a few games or something. Like I'd say
the drought,
the drought. Like he just loves that idea of like someone doubting him, like the idea that. So look,
he does. He seems to feed off any negative criticism. He seems to feed off that. Yeah.
Like, the one thing, like I know as a City again this season is just they're going back to the team that they had last season. Like they're starting the same process of starting the same guys for the starting 11, like Rico Lewis, who didn't get a look in the last few months of the season. Now he's in again, and it's just mad how Guardiola can just do this and just like put in this kind of second 11. I know there's some players that overlap obviously, but like put in the second 11 and they're just literally. They're still just as good. Like
it's just this system that just goes round and round. And if you take something out, slot something in, it just keeps going round and round.
Like the back four or the back three or whatever you had when you were attacking event. Like you had Akanji, Ake, and that who else was there? There was Stones was gone. Ruben Diaz was gone. I don't think Laporte was playing.
Kanji, Lewis, who was it? I'm trying.
Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
So it was like basically, Ake and Akanji, who both played full backs last year, were playing centre backs, and it was just an easy 3-0 win. It's just
he loves that type of player that's versatile, can play in a number of different roles.
Yeah.
Jack, I had a couple of questions. Go on to Kieran. No, go to Kieran first. All
right, Kieran, just a quick word on Haaland. I know you're a big fan.
Over fears that he might not come back on form, Ivan Drago has gone to his training camp in the tundra. He's been tossing tractor tires for the last 2 months, and he's come back with an appetite to destroy even more upstarts like Burnley and former City captain Vincent Kompany. What I think is interesting, or will be interesting, is to see how City might, or Guardiola might have learned from not mistakes, but maybe some of the oversights of last summer. So they tried to kind of have Haaland and the team, and it didn't really work out the couple of first few months last season until they kind of got their house in order after Christmas. Now they've had a summer to work on that system together, and I think I think I saw someone either writing or saying on the radio that City were playing more long balls against Burnley. They were just playing, and they're now starting to kind of work into the best of Haaland and maybe the best of that system as well. So yeah, I think City are favourites for the league. I am quite excited to see Gvardiol, the Croatian signing. I mean, it's
very good.
It's well, in one sense, it's totally unsurprising City snap up the hottest talent on the continent. But it is quite exciting to see him playing, because he's a serious player, and he's only 21. So yeah, it's going to be nice. And seeing him what he might achieve under Pep will be exciting too.
Cool. Dan, you had a question.
Yeah, no, just a couple of things looking at City that are nice. First one, actually, just it kind of leads in there from what Kieran said. It's around Haaland. He's had a season now in the City team. It was his first season in English football. Can he get more than 36?
Can he get more than?
I think it was 36 Premier League goals. Was it last season?
Last season. Yeah. Can he do it again this?
What do you think? The year under his belt?
I think he won't be far off. Again, De Bruyne was responsible for not all, but a lot of the assists that brought the goals. I don't see why not. I mean, the team the team hasn't changed that much in terms of how they attack. He's going to be in around the box. He's going to kind of score individual goals. He's going to, get those kind of second balls. I'd be surprised if he was to break the 36, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him above 30. Will he get there again? It's hard to know. 36, it's a huge number to get. It's never been done. Only by him, Shearer, and Cole, was it, at 35? Yeah. So, I mean, and you've seen, it's hasn't been done in years. So I'd be surprised if it was broken, but he won't be far off.
And at the moment, or I was looking at it, Rodri, would Rodri be considered City's most important player now? Considering if he's out of the team, who comes in to replace him in his position? There's not too many in that City lineup.
I agree.
Could lace his boots. So I'm just wondering, do you reckon he's their most important player? Watching the other night, and even watched him in a Community Shield and last season. Like, he's just so solid. I know we talked to him small last week.
When he came into the Premier League a few years ago, like his first season, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. He was okay. He was, there was a learning curve, but he has steadily grown into that kind of. He's a captain without having the armband. He's just in that team. He's kind of brings the ball out from the fence, picks a pass, scores. I was saying last week, scores some fantastic goals against Bayern Munich last year. Got the goal in the final as well. He's not just a defensive midfielder. Like, he's not afraid to go forward as well. Can score with the head. Can take the power in his shots is unbelievable. So I would argue that yes, he is probably the most important player in the team. And as well as him, I think Bernardo Silva doesn't get as much praise as he should, because I was terrified all summer long that Bernardo would be going elsewhere. Now I'm hearing possibility of a 2-year contract extension. So I mean, if it is, I'd be delighted. That would be the best transfer business we could do this year, as opposed to bringing anyone in, etc. If we can sign him to extend, I'd be delighted. Kieran, why are you laughing?
Well, I think this Bernardo Silva to PSG story has been going on for months now, and it's kind of every now and then it's muted and it's raised. And I think what's probably happening is behind the scenes they're saying, no, you're not allowed to leave. No, you can't go. I think it's like Bernardo Silva is like a puppet on a string, and they're just kind of teasing him with the enticement of being able to leave on his own terms, and they let him have something and then say, no, you're not allowed to leave. So I don't think Bernardo Silva is going anywhere.
That's exact. Everyone's in there just kind of, basically just being told, look, everything's happy on the outside and inside they're being whipped.
Yeah, I'll be marched to a boot camp.
Like, one more for you, just and I see that they're looking at Paqueta. Do you think that he's the long term, maybe looking at a replacement for KDB? No,
no, I don't. Like, a very good player, but I don't think that's what's needed. I think I wouldn't be unhappy if our transfer business was done. Losing Mahrez was a surprise, but if it means that Cole Palmer is going to get more game time, if Phil Foden is going to get more game time, I'm happy if that's it for us for the summer. What do you call it? I don't think we need to go again. Alvarez is there. If Mahrez going means that Alvarez gets more game time, absolutely. Paqueta is a very good player, but again, who's he going to replace?
I'm looking at this KDB because I was just looking at he's 25. He is a baller. He is like, looking at him in the West Ham side. I think if he goes to a better club, or just respect to West Ham, to play more football, you can see the best of him. And the price they're talking, looking at 70. Was it 70 or maybe?
Again, more 70. 70 rejected.
Yeah. I read today they're talking 70 and possibly Cole Palmer going in the opposite direction on a loan deal.
Just thought it was
interesting. It is, and it caught a lot of people by surprise. He's a very good player. I don't particularly think at this stage we need him. Again, Kevin De Bruyne, I know he's 32, he's getting on, fair enough, but he still has a lot of football left in him. And when his time does come to go, I think Phil Foden is literally going to slot right into the centre midfield, because he is going to end up as a centre midfielder. And when Kevin De Bruyne does go, hopefully Bernardo Silva will still be there and Phil Foden will be alongside him. So
that's the only way you can get out, with a crooked leg.
yeah.
Oh god, good stuff.
All right, over there, like with a pole, like injuring himself.
Told what to do. What's he call it? All right, so we'll quickly move on. Just so the rest of the weekend's results. So West Ham and Bournemouth 1-1. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest 2-1. Howard, anything to say on that one?
Pretty underwhelming performance, really. I thought it was they got the job done, but I thought it was a very flat kind of performance from Arsenal. So let's see what's going to happen in the next few games. But
it was a fantastic goal by Saka.
Great goal by Saka, and great little bit of skill for Martinelli for the assist for the goal as well. But like, two moments that they needed something a little bit special to actually break them down, because they weren't even making any chances, so so look, let's see going forward. But it was fairly flat. They've Crystal Palace away next week. I'm also hearing that Timber got injured. Dan, you put a curse on him, I think.
He's fucked. Yeah, I see that. Serious meaning. He's fucked.
Yeah, you put a curse on him last week when you told him he was the player to look out for. So,
and I also slated Tyrone Mings. Look what happened to him.
Yeah.
Who's that player that actually, Aaron Ramsey, whenever he scored a goal, someone died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, whenever Dan makes a prediction, someone's career is, in
There was
jeopardy.
like
So
the
Dan,
Boston
shut up.
the Boston bombings, and there was all sort of stuff going on when Aaron Ramsey was scoring a goal.
All right, so come here now. We'll keep going. Brighton 4-1 against Luton. I think we all had Luton predicted to lose that one. Everton and Fulham, a very poor start from Everton. Dan, anything there?
Yeah, just on them. Who's going to score their goals? Looking at their like I said last week, I was concerned for them. Not that surprised that they didn't win. I thought they might have got something against Fulham.
I was impressed actually. Just on that, I was impressed with Everton. You were saying about the Ashley Young signing last week, so I was here we go. I was like, I expecting crap from Everton, but I was watching the highlights and they should have been chances. They should have been 2 or 3-0 up, but but Fulham got a dodge. Sorry, go on.
No, but that's them. Like I was just looking at it, like Damari Gray was, I thought, one of our better players last season. The talk is he might move to Fulham. Lewin can't stay fit. Mope has got 1 goal in the last year. He's leading the line. Like, I'm just looking at going, they the second least lowest tally of goals last season in the Premier League. So you think that was the area that they needed to go in and try and get a few players in. Granted, I know they're looking at a couple of leads. Players. I think Harrison was one.
Jack Harrison, I think he's gone on loan as far as I know. Like that one, that'll be a good signing. He's a good player.
I'm concerned who's going to score goals for them though, because I don't think the defense that they had out there yesterday.
Are you really concerned? You're a Liverpool fan. Are you genuinely concerned?
No, but
are you laughing on the inside and thinking, good luck to you next season in the second tier?
I'd be concerned if I was an Everton fan. That's all I'd say.
Okay. No, that's cool. All right, so Everton and Fulham. Move on to Brentford and Tottenham. Harry Kane literally moved on, and Richarlison took his place and didn't seem to do much. What did you make of that, Kieran? Did you any thoughts on Harry Kane moving on? How Tottenham will do?
I watched the DFB Cup, and Harry Kane got a rousing welcome when he warmed up. So I think it all bodes well for him. I think it's funny that he moved to Germany and he's already lost his first chance to win a title.
It's actually a clip. Do you see the clip of him like going up to the referee to complain, and he just realized he couldn't speak German?
Very good.
And he stands back very quickly. You can see the thoughts forming in his head. Like, wait, this is not yet. Anyways, he said he wants to learn German, so maybe in a week or two. When it comes to Spurs, I want Spurs to do well this season. I like Ange Postecoglou. He did very good things with Celtic for the 2 years he was there. I want to see if he can really implement Angie Ball. So this
is that a thing?
Yeah, if you haven't seen it with Celtic, it's really fun to watch. They don't let the ball go dead for more than a second. So if it goes out for a throw, it's straight back in. Joe Hart is passing the ball out straight away. So I'm interested to see how or if they can implement that with Spurs. On one hand, I think Ange Postecoglou can do a good job because he seems to have done it wherever he's gone. But on the other hand, Spurs is a graveyard for managers. No one who's managed at Spurs has gone on to something better elsewhere. It's usually a kind of a move down the pecking order because Spurs is such a graveyard. So I don't know. I think they're going to struggle to maybe fill that hole. They've said they want to sign a big striker, but that would also include some settling in time as well. So there might be a bit of an identity crisis for the first few games, maybe the first 6 months. I hope they give Postecoglou time. On the flip side, Brentford continue to surprise and I think excite people. I hope they do well this season. They spent a lot of money on Nathan Collins, so obviously Irish interests want to see him do well there as well. It'll also be interesting to see how they fill their hole with Ivan Toney unavailable until I think it's January, isn't it? So I thought it was an interesting result, but 2 exciting teams.
Cool.
Can I just add the extra time? I don't know if you said Brentford get extra time was like 11 minutes at halftime. And
go to 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
Dan, you were talking about that.
And it was just an interesting thing that I heard there. Like, when the 11 minutes went up, so Brentford were winning 2-1. And when 11 minutes went up, there was like a gasp from the home team. Obviously, the crowd were like, oh. And then within like 4 minutes, apparently like that, the whole game changed. Like, because they're like, we've got to hold on here for 11 minutes, hold on to that. So I think that's probably going to be something that's going to happen a lot this season with the added time. Even if you're like the home team and there's a lot of added time, I think there's probably going to be that negativity that just comes over the whole team, even if they're winning that they need to hold on here because it is such a long period. So it was just something interesting I saw and heard of, so I wanted to relay there.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I had been looking out for it over the weekend as well. Like for the majority of games that I was watching at the time, it didn't seem to like I didn't know actually that game did 11 minutes. So the ones that I did watch were probably around the 5-6 minute mark. So like I thought, okay, like we can deal with that 5 or 6 minutes. You'll take that, but I think anything above that, I mean, 11 minutes sounds ridiculous.
Gets very ridiculous. Yeah.
So, all right, Sheffield. Sorry, Kieran, go ahead.
Could the extra time or the kind of novelty amount of extra time be the first move in terms of like entering in different like features of the game? Like for the last 5 minutes, they introduce like a ball that's only a size 2, or they put in you have to take off more players, or you can flood the team with other players. Maybe this is the beginning of Barkley's crazy years.
Like making up new rules, like just like Saudi Pro League, just doing their own thing.
Yeah, to keep up with Jared Piqué and his King's ball or King's football.
Very good. Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace 1-0. I don't know if you've seen the clip that I had on Instagram earlier on today. Dan told me to put it up, of Roy Hodgson. I don't know what the player's name, the Sheffield United player that kind of had a bit of a ball was going out for throw-in. He had a bit of a dig at him in the stomach. He reacts. His reaction is brilliant. If you haven't seen it, have a look at it definitely. And then finally, a result that surprised me and probably a lot of people: Newcastle and Aston Villa, 5-1 to Newcastle. First game of the season, so I don't think you can get carried away. But Villa, we had all said last week, had signed very well and brought in 3 fantastic players. And we had all kind of gone for, as far as I can remember, and it was Dan and I anyways, had gone for the draw.
I went for Newcastle.
Did you go for Newcastle? Sorry. I don't think anyone's seen that happening, Newcastle. Dan, you have your brother's a Newcastle fan. What did you make of that result?
Yeah, sure, of course. It was a bit of like, even Emirates teams, they're solid, they're hard bet. It very much would go against. Like I've been to St. James Park 3 times. It's unbelievable. The atmosphere there is, it's amazing. And again, first game of the season, they have obviously a couple of new signings in. Tonali, and look at him crying out for a midfielder, and this guy 55 million spraying the ball like eyes in the back of his head, scored a goal.
2 assists as well.
Yeah. I kind of felt though it's a bit of a freak result. Like I don't think that'll happen Villa again maybe this season at all. And I think that they come out at the start of the second half, and once Konza made that mistake, it just kind of killed it, didn't it? Like they started pushing up and ridiculously high, and we're just getting caught time after time. It's actually like watching Liverpool. Like we're just balls pinged over the top, and Newcastle near the end. I mentioned last week, and we all kind of said that Isak is, he's a monster. Isn't he?
He looks like a fantastic player.
But I'd imagine that's kind of. I wouldn't get over the top a bit. Newcastle, 5-1. It's a great start to the season. It is just one game, and but they are strong. Their starting 11 is strong. Their bench, it's questionable as to how good their bench is. There's a lot of players that are there they're there quite a while. That I would say not many other Premier League sides would take. Otherwise, they'd been gone. So I kind of feel if they did get a couple of big injuries, I know they struggled a small bit when Bruno got injured last year. He was out for a little bit and struggled. So I think that, like again, centre backs, Lascelles would be one that would come in if one of the big guys at the back there at the moment was to get injured. Left back is Matt Target to come in. So I just think start 11 is good, but Champions League will come in. They'll play a lot more games. They will pick up injuries, and it'll be just interesting to see. But unbelievable start, unbelievable.
Definitely. All right, that was the weekend review, and cheers for all your input, lads. Now, we move on to the season predictions. This is going to be a good crack. So I think we will start with our predictions for the winner of the Premier League this season. Granted, it's only 1 week in, but you've all had a little bit to Kieran. I can see you're smiling again. I'm actually going to start with you. Who is your prediction to lift the title this season? And be good here. Be nice to me.
It is with a heavy heart that I must concede that I think it's highly likely that Manchester City will win. Is it their 4th in a row? Something that Alex Ferguson didn't even achieve, which of course is the state of modern football. But no, I think City have strength and depth. They've also got the most settled of teams. Like Chelsea might come good under Pochettino, but they've also got more squad players than staff maybe at some stage. So I think everything trends in City's favour. They have the beast up front who's going to keep knocking in goals. You asked if he's going to top last season's amount. I reckon if he's near or thereabouts it, and they've got someone like Luton or Sheffield United or some other minnow towards the tail end of the next season, he'll just fancy a day out where he might knock in 4 or 5. So I think everything trends towards City. I think everything trends towards City probably retaining it. As to who might challenge it, though, I hope to see Arsenal do well. Chelsea could be surprising. Manchester United could be surprising, but they're as liable to fall prey to the psychodrama that seems to take over Manchester United most season. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, in short, City. That's my prediction.
Cool. Howard, I'm going to leave you to last on this one. Dan, who's your prediction to win it this season?
City,
just 100% City.
Oh, 100%. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'll go. I do think City are going to go for. I think they're going to win it, and I do think they're going to do 4 in a row, and I think that's going to be their ambition. I don't think they're going to win Champions League this season. Wouldn't surprise me if they were to, fall short, maybe even in the second round quarterfinals, because their aim is going to be the Premier League, the 4 in a row. It's never been done. I think Guardiola, he loves records. He loves breaking them. And I think this is just, something that Fergie has never done. If Guardiola can do it, I do think that will be his aim. Howard, are we going for Arsenal? Or are you going for City?
Look, I think, last week I obviously stuck to my guns and said Arsenal. My heart tells me Arsenal. My head probably tells me maybe something different. Simply because I don't think we're coming out of the blocks as strong as we did last year. Arsenal, that is. And that's kind of where my fear is a small bit. But I still, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, we've strengthened, I think, better than City have this season. Yeah. We were close, and we got an injury to, Saliba. Maybe that was the reason why. So, with them probabilities, I'm hoping potentially Arsenal can win it. But I think for that to happen, I think their new signings need to click, and I think they have to have a system in place that wasn't last year's system because it was too predictable with Zinchenko coming into midfield and all that. But I think we need to have a system that is just as good and as effective, with maybe getting the best out of Rice and Partey in the same team. So it's all to do with that system. If they can get that system going and flowing, and they can switch it around and put in Zinchenko into a game if they need to, then I think they have a chance. So I'm going to go with Arsenal anyway as my bottom line.
If I can just jump in there.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, Kieran.
I've all the hope in the world for Arsenal, and I like to see Nketiah stepping into Gabriel Jesus' shoes. But I also think that Arsenal might have also already shot themselves in the foot by signing another goalkeeper who's going to be competing for first place or for starting position, because it's not like a defense where there's multiple positions and multiple people who aren't starting. It's a very personal one-on-one, you're either in or you're not, and that itself could have potential to unbalance the equilibrium in that dressing room as well. So I think it's a very strange decision from Arteta and Arsenal, and I think it has the potential to chip away at some of the kind of the morale.
Yeah,
good point.
It could definitely backfire. All right, so we have 3 Man City, 1 Arsenal. Howard is on my list of enemies. Champions League places. So, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. No particular order. I just want to know who you think is going to be in the top 4. So, Dan, we will start with you.
Arsenal, Liverpool, and United.
Arsenal, Liverpool, and United. Okay. Arsenal, I expected from you. Liverpool, I expected from you. Man United.
Really? Yeah, I think Arsenal are the biggest challengers to City, and I think Liverpool and United would be a coin flip who finishes 3rd and 4th. Coin flip in both of them. Yeah. But United. I think United are strong. Like, I think regardless of whether or not the new striker, whether or not that works or doesn't work out, I still think that United will be thereabouts. They've a solid defence, got a new goalkeeper in, which they probably needed. Midfield, it strengthened. Casemiro was a fantastic sign from last year. Given Fernandes obviously over the armband, they won't have to look at Harry Maguire again this season, which is a plus for them, let's be honest, as well. So all things for me would say that they should, Anthony, it's the 2nd season, be interested to see. He didn't set the word of light for me last year, but again, second season, he could get better. So I just think United, like they're solid. I think they're going to smash Wolves tonight, put out a statement, and I think they'll be there. They'll be in that kind of shake-up for Champions League. But I don't think they're, unless this new guy is a monster when he gets in and gets amongst the goals early. I don't think. I just think they're lacking. If Kane had a sign, it's been said now several times that if Kane had been at United this year, they would be closer to challenging for a league title, in my opinion. So, but I think that's the top four for me.
Yeah. Okay. Kieran, second, third, and fourth.
Yeah, I'm in broad agreement. I'll just keep it simple and say Arsenal second, probably United third, and then fourth will be a toss-up between Chelsea and Liverpool, I think.
Okay, interesting. I have 1 point I'm going to make. I'm just going to wait on Howard's call here. Second, third, and fourth.
I'd have slightly different. I think we're all sleeping on Newcastle. I think Newcastle are going to be a team that, like as Dan is saying, like their starting 11 is unreal. Like the Isaac up front, and you replace it with Callum Wilson. That's pretty good. And then you have like a beast of a field with like Gameres, Joe Linton, who's an animal, and then you have this technical skill from Tonali coming in, and you have a bit of flair from Gameres as well. So like the midfield, like them three midfield are top. Like I think one of the top midfields in the league, and then the two lads are the Botman and whoever their centre back is.
Shard.
Shard, two big guys like
Pope has quality as well. Yeah.
Pope is good. Trippier is obviously, he's getting to an age that he's probably but he's still, his technical skills and his leadership and everything back there. And then, like, you have Dan Burn, they're probably going to get in another left back. Like that's a serious team, like. And I think people are like, oh well, they only got Tonali in, but like Isaac's going to get better. You might have got Gordon from Everton. They have a few. My worries, as I said, they might have. Yeah, Almiron, he had an unreal season last season. Can he repeat it? That's the kind of question, maybe. And like maybe, as you said, Dan, Champions League could catch up with them, and maybe they fall off the wagon. But I honestly think that. What I know you say watch them there at the weekend, but I think they're going to get into the top four. I think themselves. I picked Arsenal to win, so themselves, City, and then the last one, I'm kind of torn between Liverpool or United, and I'm going to go with Liverpool because I had them written down. I'm saying Liverpool, and United fans are going to be pissed off, I'd say, but the reason I'm saying that is just Onana. Okay, I think he's going to make a difference, but it's just back to the man Højlund coming in, expecting him to get you all the goals like that. If he lights it up, they'll definitely get top four, 100%. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a question mark.
All right, Kieran, you had a question.
Just a counterpoint to Newcastle. I think Champions League is big, but it's also, they're not seeded. So will Newcastle be the third team in a group of potentially Bayern and some other leading team? So they might want to, they will have to perform, and trying to switch gears from playing Champions League to the weekend might work against them. So if it all balanced out and they had a strong first half season and then they weren't in the second half of the Champions League, maybe they could sustain it. But I just think that if they want to go gun-ho for Champions League, it might affect them negatively in the Premier League. But I also hope that we get to see Tonali light up the Premier League and the Champions League. He seems like a classy footballer. He has all the makings of a kind of David Ginola or other kind of Gattuso, these cult foreign players who come in and just...
He looks a bit like Adam Driver, doesn't he? The actor.
Yeah, he's got
a football version.
We're going to see him kind of portrayed as the Italian stallion, the stylish midfielder.
What did you say, Howard? Chiseled cheeks.
Yeah. The jawline. He's got a good jawline.
Yeah, but Newcastle.
It's the football podcast, all right? If you want to talk about his jawline, go on to IMDb or something like that, all right?
But like I think as a Newcastle, like they play a high intensity, high press, high energy game. So it's just going to be, again, when you go into, they're going to pick up injuries. They had a nice run at last year, and again, I think starting 11 with Howard there, they have a really strong unit. And even though Eddie Howe's got them playing savage stuff, just feel that if it said as they have to rotate, like they will, they have brought in players, but they haven't gone and overexpended excessively. In what everyone thought they would with the change of ownership. I just think that they come down from, say, Tonali or Bruno. It's Joe Willock. It's what's the other guy that they have there in the midfield?
Murphy,
name's
is it?
escaping me now. No, he plays in midfield. His name's gone now for me. But anyway, I just think that the ones that are to come in, especially maybe the defensive positions, not as well as they have to
A
rotate.
Longstaff.
Longstaff, yeah. Like they're okay. They're but I just think that the drop off is high enough there. That's just my feeling on it. But would it surprise me? And like as Kieran said there, if they were to get knocked out, you don't get through the group stages and that as well. Do they take Europa League seriously? It's there's a few kind of
possibilities. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The group stages, when they are drawn like that, will kind of tell a lot. My own picks for the top four: Arsenal, Liverpool, and Newcastle. I don't think Chelsea will be there. I don't think Man United will be there. For pretty much the reasons you said, how are Newcastle, how strong they are. But again, it will be dictated by the group stages and how far they can go in the Champions League. We'll quickly do Europa. So just give me the two teams for Europa, then we'll go on to the relegation teams. So Dan, two Europa League teams.
Yeah, I've Newcastle down for European positions, and I think that Chelsea will get better as the season goes, and I think they'll get into Europe. And I kind of have them, and I had Villa down as well, just as the conference or whatever. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
Newcastle, Chelsea, probably. Yeah.
Cool. Kieran, Europa.
I didn't put Newcastle in top four, so they will be there in the Europa, I'd imagine. And then, I believe in Angie, so Spurs.
Wow, that's a big call. Howard, what did you think? Europa?
It is actually just thinking there, like Spurs. That's a big call for the top six, but it is crazy, isn't it, how things have changed in like a season or two? That like getting into the top six is quite difficult now, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Also, it could be a top five this year for Champions League, could it? I think that's
I think you're right.
That's
this year coming.
I think it's this year coming based on additional European players. So anyway, it could be from memory.
I'll look into that one actually. Yeah.
But anyway, so I have United and I've Chelsea for the Europa League. I just think Chelsea, like they get Casado now, like they're on paper, like they have a lot of good players. It's just trying to get them all to come together, all in one goal, like because they're all just in the door, like it basically a season, like so.
No, I'll be honest. Like when I was watching yesterday, I was looking at the Chelsea lineup and I was thinking, who the hell is he? I mean, some of these players, like, I didn't know who they were. Some lads I couldn't even pronounce one of the lads' names, Chukamanko or something. I don't know what it was, but anyways, my own picks for Europa League: Man United and Brighton. I'm surprised none of you kind of went down the Brighton route. I think they play great football. I think they definitely will be up there. If not for the Europa League spots, then definitely for the
Europa League will kill them.
Conference League.
Yeah.
I
think Europa League. I think they could actually probably have a better chance of winning the Europa League because they're not good. They could win it, but I just think that'll kill them because they have a decent enough squad. But that would be my.
The problem is Villa are in the Europa League as well, and sure, Emery's managing them, so they're a shoe in to win the Europa League.
Yeah, and like the Europa League is going to be trouble for us as well. Do you know what I mean? It's going to bring its own. It's not. I don't know. It just seems to be that Thursday to Sunday thing. It's
killer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Cool. So 3 teams to get the drop. Kieran, who have you gone with?
I'm sad to say Luton and Sheffield United because of the John Egan and Chigozie Ogbene connections, but I think they're really going to struggle. They haven't brought in. I think there was some crazy statistic of Brighton having over 1,000 Premier League minutes between them and Luton having 62 or something before the game at the weekend. Okay. So I think Luton are going to struggle. Sheffield United are going to struggle. They're also going to struggle because they don't seem to have. Maybe I don't know enough, but they don't have goal scorers. But then on the flip side, I think that Everton are going to struggle too. And at this stage, especially if they seem to be kind of having a similar season as the last 2 seasons, it's time for them just to go. They've been surviving by the skin of their teeth the last 2 seasons.
Overstayed your welcome.
I think so. Yeah, leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay. Luton, Sheffield, and Everton. Dan, who were your 3 to go down?
Luton. I think we all kind of said that they might struggle. Getting tanked by Brighton on the first day of the season there is not a good start. again, I just think their resources are very limited, aren't they, as well? But their story is amazing. And it'd be class if they did leave themselves with 3 or 4 games to go with a chance. But I feel they could be the whipping boys. So I have them for bottom. With Kieran there, Sheffield United, I think, that they'll don't have a goal scorer. I think they'll struggle. I think it was a poor start again against Palace. That's not a good their first home game. And Palace, again, I don't know. It's hard to know work them out what way they'll be this season, but that was poor. And I have down here. I'd like to say Everton, but I think that Deitch is just a man that might just be able to do enough. And there's a couple of weeks left in the window, and I feel Everton will maybe get a couple in. So I think they might just about avoid it, but I think they'll be in it. And I have Bournemouth down. And when we move on to maybe the manager thing, I might talk a bit more about Bournemouth. But I have Bournemouth down there as the 18th.
All right.
And just based around the new manager has come in. They got rid of Gary O'Neill very unfairly, I think.
Yeah.
They wanted to go a different direction, wanted to go attacking minded with Irola, high press, completely changing the style. And they've shown already, the owners there, that they will chop and change. Done it to Parker, Gary O'Neill. So I just kind of feel that they'll be one where they'll kind of go and they're not going to sit and try and just hold out to stay up. They're going to try and go and play attractive football. And I think it will backfire on them. So I have Bournemouth to go down.
Okay, interesting. Howard,
I've actually the exact same as Dan. I have Luton, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, and Bournemouth thing. I was like, Bournemouth maybe not Nottingham Forest or whatever, but I think the Gary O'Neill thing kind of got to me last year when he was doing such a good job and they got rid of him. So
yeah, it was a weird
Wolves maybe in there, but I went for Bournemouth in the end. So let's see.
Wolves could be in there. I wasn't far off saying that.
I heard today actually the Wolves thing. They need to sell players for financial fair play. I don't know if anyone's heard that. So they're struggling for funds at the moment. So I haven't made any signings. So you never know.
See, Adama Traore has gone to Fulham.
Yeah. Got him off
the way Fulham advertised it was picture of the changing room and a bottle of baby oil.
That's brilliant.
That's fucking brilliant. I laughed my arse off. What the hell did actually do this? Yeah. But I think that's a very good sign. Like, I know he had an odd season last year. He went to Barca from January to May, but I mean, there's no player like him. He's a beast. He's quick. I mean, if he could finish, he'd be a star. But
Fulham have made some good astute signings. They don't I remember when they tried to sign Leno. Well, they got him in the end last year, and they were like 3 million, 4 million. I was like, are these guys seriously trying to buy him for that amount? But they got him over the line, and they haven't paid that much money. Willian got him on a free. They've done very well. Yeah, they spent very little. Troy on loan. They've spent very little, and I think Marco Silva is doing a good job there. I think he's probably
another man being touted by Saudi Arabian clubs.
Is he?
And Mitrovic was supposedly not going to play for them again because he wanted to go to Saudi Arabia, but came on at the weekend. So my own picks for the relegated places are likewise Luton, Wolves. I think they've lost too many and brought in nobody of significance, and Everton as well. I think I'm going to go with my brother on this one. I think their time has come to. They haven't brought in. I know they brought in Ashley Young, but that's not going to get the fans. That's not going to get the fans excited. Jack Harrison, he is a very good player. I'd say Leeds are disgusted to lose him because if they were kind of coming back up next season, a lot of their hopes would have been on his shoulders. So they're my three.
I'd say there's a small part of Jack Harrison that hopes that he'll get another year of Premier League football. Everton will go down. Leeds come back up and just slot back in.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah. That's actually a genius idea, if that works out. All right, so first manager out in his arse. Who's it going to be? Howard?
This was a tricky one because I had Bournemouth to go down, but I actually went for David Moyes, which is a controversial one.
We have a man coming on the show next week who is going to be just asking for your number to talk about your views on this because he's fully in agreement.
I was just saying that because they've had a tricky transfer window. Obviously, they've lost Rice, and they could lose Paqueta, and they've tried to get a few. I think in fairness, they got Or Prowse there. I think it's a good signing from.
Yeah.
But they got this new sporting director in, is it? And he basically he's been locking horns with David Moyes, so I think he was behind the Alvarez move, and I think Moyes wanted his McTominays and his Maguires and stuff like that. So I think like the only way I'm saying this is if come September, October, West Ham are still struggling to win a game, Moyes will be pointing the finger at the sporting director. Sporting director is going to be saying, "Look, I've been trying to get these two players in, you didn't get them in." So I think the new guy, new shiny toy, will stay, and David Moyes might be out in his arse, as you say. So yeah, I've just gone for that, but like it'll depend on West Ham's start to the season. I think if they start poorly, they might look elsewhere.
They have a tough start, I think, as well.
They do. A very tough start. Yeah.
Kieran, what do you think? Who's going first?
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, I think if it's first fired, then it's someone like Moyes, or maybe it's Paul Heckingbottom.
Either or, they can walk, they can be fired. Either or.
Yeah, but I think Paul Heckingbottom from Sheffield United could get the chop. I think with Luton there'll be a bit more sympathy. They might, hang on the hope, or there's some more sympathy, I guess. And then the other promotion hopeful or promotion team company's going nowhere unless he wants to go, I think. So yeah, that leaves Paul Heckingbottom, a man whose name I'd never said before. I now said 3 times in the last minute. From Sheffield United, I think he's going to be the first to get the chop.
Cool. All right, I'll just go in there as well. I have Heckingbottom down as well. Don't ask me why. Burnley aren't going to get rid of Company. Absolutely not. Luton, there's that sympathy thing. I fully agree with Kieran. And for the simple reason, Sheffield United are the type of team that will struggle. They'll make a snap choice, and he could be the first to go around October, start November time. There's other candidates, definitely, but I just, for whatever reason, I kind of am drawn to that one. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, again, I think Paul Heckingbottom will be possibly the one of the ones that I've said there, probably to be first to go. I kind of feel it smells like they'll have a poor start to the season. They might go and nudge him out, and if they've got a decent enough or experienced enough defense, it smells of Big Sam territory again for me. Like that kind of they get somebody in who will just be like will just try their best to rob a 1-0 here and there. And
you have a real kinship with Sam Allardyce. What's that about?
Well, what do you mean?
Literally. For last season, any team that gets manager has gone out the door. You'd send me pictures. You'd send me pictures like on WhatsApp of Big Sam.
Only one man for this.
Literally, any team that lost their manager, Big Sam. But no, I agree.
No, I think he's the first one to go. But I do feel that I was looking at Heckingbottom make his favourite. He's the favourite to be first to get the chop. But I think that Irola at Bournemouth could be. I don't think that's how you pronounce his name. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. He, as after coming in, I think Leeds tried to get him in halfway through the season last year, and he wouldn't go. And Rail what's the side?
Rail Vallecano, isn't it?
Yeah. Rail Vallecano wouldn't let him go during the season. He obviously done very, very well. I think the lowest budget, lowest rate team in the Segunda League, got them up. Worked wonders with them. They beat Madrid, beat Barcelona. So he's coming with a big reputation. But he won't be the first or last manager to come with a big reputation from the Spanish League, went to the Premier League. He's coming into a Bournemouth side, which I feel an awful lot of them players would have been. Barry O'Neill would have, they would have been pissed off. Is what I would feel, given how well he done with them. Then we kind of just booted out the door. A new guy comes in. Don't know what way the language barrier Anthony is there, but just kind of have a feeling, and I could be wrong. Like they but I just have a feeling that he's coming in. He's been asked to change the whole style of football there. They spent a bit of money, all right. Don't know too many players now that they brought in that I seen that they signed. They spent a bit of money, but they're changing everything there. And looking at the way the model was, where they had disagreement with Parker, he was gone straight away. But what they've done to O'Neill, would it be out of the realms of possibility that Bournemouth go, they play attractive football, but they start getting a bit of a tonking, and then suddenly he's under pressure. And they're on their side as well. If you go and look at their fixtures, they have a tough run, a tough starting run as well. So come 7-8 games in, if it's not going to plan, it could jerk as well. So yeah, I kind of feel it'll probably be Paul Heckingbottom, but I think Bournemouth manager could be under it as well.
Okay, cool. All right, that brings us to the end of our season predictions. I've made a few notes, and towards the end of the season, we'll see who is right, who is wrong. Just on the whole managerial issue at the moment, I read before we came on air, Saudi Arabia, the national team, who is being touted as the next manager, but only Roberto Mancini.
I think he's got it. I think he was.
Has he got it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
He left the Italy role on Sunday yesterday. So I mean, yet again they strike again. I have a soft spot for Mancini, obviously, but the circus just gets worse and worse. Neymar looks to be going. Just on Neymar, I'll just get a very quick word of what you think of Neymar. Is he a wasted talent? Is he a toxic player? Is he a genius that just has not been given the chance to prove himself? Quickly, what do you think, Kieran?
He wanted to be the main player, the main talent, so he sought brighter lights in Paris, and the lights have gone out.
Poetic.
Very good. Very poetic, honest to God. Dan, what do you think?
Overrated shite bag.
Jesus, that's the exact opposite of Kieran. No poetic language in there whatsoever. Straight to the point. I agree. I think he is a quality player, but a very bad attitude. You could see that. You could see shades of it when he was at Barcelona. And when he went to Paris Saint-Germain, it was just kind of very obvious that, like, this lad is not, he's not playing for the team. He's been playing for himself for years. And I mean, look, he's going to go over there, earn millions, right? That 180 million a year, something ridiculous. So, Howard, Neymar, what did you think?
I think when he was at Barca, I thought, everyone was thinking the same. He could be the next big thing, I think his move to PSG was a stupid move, like you're going to a league that it's the PSG usually win every year, and you're like playing against a poor quality opposition in the grand scheme of things. And I think because he went there, he probably
he's in his prime as well.
In his prime, and I think he thought he was going to go win the Ballon d'Or. I think he thought, okay, well, PSG, I'll be the number one guy there instead of being in the shadow of Messi. I'll go win the Ballon d'Or then. And I think he went there and he's like, this is actually easy for me. And he just kind of stopped working as hard potentially and down tools. Now, maybe he got a few injuries in the place as well. But I think like that move for him really killed him, his career. And then he obviously, I don't think we realize how much like stardom in Brazil, what that's like for you as the main guy of the national team, where like the football is pretty much religion over there. So that was, I'd say, a lot of pressure on him to deal. And then the World Cups, and he was losing World Cups and all the the depression from that. But look, I think I nearly rated him as a top player, but I think he just fell off the wagon again, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, Kieran, I know you have to head in a few minutes, so whenever you do got to go, head on. We're going to move on to our next segment, which is the Fanatic 4 predictions for next week. So, Kieran, I'm going to start with you. So, next week, Spurs and Man United. Give me your prediction. Oh, by the way, last week, Howard was the only one to get one result correct, which was Burnley 0, Man City 3. The rest of us, we weren't far off in a few of them. Others, we need to look at ourselves. All right, so Kieran, just before you head off, so Spurs and Man United, what's your call?
My parting words, I look into my crystal ball. I see 1-0 win for Angie Ball against Ten Hag Ball there.
Very good. That's what I like to hear. Okay, City and Newcastle, how do you call that one?
I had written down 2-1, but I'm starting to believe I'm starting to believe more and more in Tonali. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Newcastle. Why not?
Ooh,
why not?
Bold move.
It's a very bold move. I never did like you. You know that. I'm only joking. Interesting. Look, see, you haven't been beaten at the Etihad in a long time, but we'll see what happens. Aston Villa and Everton.
3-0 Villa. Everton are going down. After that.
You really don't like Everton. Okay. And finally, West Ham and Chelsea.
2-0 to Chelsea. Yeah, I was impressed by Chelsea, so I'm expecting a win there. Yeah.
Cool.
With that, I'll sign out, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks very much, Kieran.
Bye.
Okay. Dan, we'll move swiftly on to yourself. So Spurs versus United.
2-0 United.
2-0 United. Okay. You don't give Spurs a chance?
No, I don't. I think United would be too strong for them. Yeah. Even though I know that what Kieran is saying there around, first home game, new manager, a bit of a bounce factor, but I think United are too solid. And Son wasn't great at the weekend. He's the captain's armband now.
Yeah.
Like he'd want to get going. Otherwise, who's gonna score the goals for him? So 2-0 United.
Okay, cool. Howard, we'll go to you now for Spurs and United. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I actually have a Spurs win 2-1. I understand Dan's logic there with Son and all that, but I kind of felt like from watching the Brentford game and Tottenham game, Tottenham were better than what I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to, they were going to be kind of backs against the wall, but they controlled the game pretty well. Basuma played unreal. Like, Basuma didn't even get a look in with Conte, and now he was tearing up trees there at the weekend. So I think himself and Madison I think is a class act, and I think he'll be.
He got 2 assists at the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah. He literally, if they can get Richarlison scoring, they could be a bit of a force this year. But I just have a feeling first game of the season, new manager, in their stadium, that new stadium they have, which is apparently supposed to be unreal. Like, I think they could do a number on United, depending on how United get on tonight, of course.
What happened to Romero? He got injured.
Concussion. So I'd say he'll be back. Yeah.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now the next one, I'm looking forward to your views. Manchester City versus Newcastle. Howard, what do you think first?
I have a 2-1 City. I think I think it's going to be tight one, but I think look, I think it's going to be close, but I think City just going to have a bit too much from Newcastle. It's hard to know. Newcastle, they could come after their 5-1 defeat or 5-1 win and be all guns blazing and turn them over. But I just think City, they know what to do in these games. They know how to just zap the life out of teams, just keep the ball, don't let them get momentum, and they're at home as well. So I got 2-1.
Okay, cool. Dan, what do you think?
I gone for 3-1 City. 3-1 City, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A bit more faith in my team. Thank you.
Well, I was at the City Newcastle game last year, and I just feel Newcastle will go there the same. Like they'll cause a threat, and they won't go there to just try and get a draw or to try and nick one. They go there to play, and I just think that teams that do that at the Etihad, it just plays into City's hands. City will eventually kind of cut through them. So I've gone for 3-1 City. Yeah.
Okay, very good. That game's on Saturday night at 8:00. I'm really looking forward to that one because I think, if City are going to be tested properly, I think it's the likes of Newcastle, it's the likes of Arsenal. There's 2 or 3 teams that are going to really test City, and they're one of them. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Dan, Villa versus Everton. What do you think?
Yeah, I think again, Everton don't know who's going to score for them, so I've gone for Villa to win 2-0.
2-0. Okay.
Yeah.
And Howard, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a 3-1 Aston Villa. I think as Dan was saying earlier on, I think it was a bit of a fluke result. The momentum just swung on Newcastle there, and the 5-1. I don't think Villa are going to be that bad all the time. So I think this could be their kickstart to the season, I guess, at home. So gone 3-1.
All right. And West Ham versus Chelsea. Howard, what do you think?
I have 2-1 Chelsea. I think, with everything that's gone with Chelsea, they got a draw there the weekend. I still think they're a while away from putting in a string of wins. So I just think to get an actual victory, the first one is always a bit of a struggle. So I think this one they'll get the win, but I think they might just scrape it 2-1. West Ham, I didn't see a lot of them against Bournemouth, but I'm not, with my David Moyes prediction on, I'm not fancying them at the start of the season. So I have 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay, cheers. And Dan, finally, West Ham versus Chelsea.
Yeah, I think for me that was the hardest one of the lot to call. So I've gone for 2-1 Chelsea as well. Now I actually was playing around with 2-0, but I've gone for for 2-1. Yeah, like I think West Ham are they're getting players in now. It's funny enough. It was like a week ago when we were chatting. They were only, or even just before that, they hadn't signed anybody, and they were like the one team that hadn't really signed anyone at all. So I just feel that they massively need a striker. Like they sold that Scamacca, who was a complete scam. They sold him off. He's gone off back to, where did he go? Is he back to Italy?
Back to Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta,
did you call him what did you call him? A scam?
Scamacca. But I think
very good.
I think that like they just like I think they have Antonio and Ings that will do okay-ish, but for the money they're after getting in for players, they need to get a striker in big time. You know, and I think that Chelsea will go there. I think West Ham are that kind of side as well. That again, it's a London derby. They'll be expected to be on the front foot. Doesn't suit West Ham. Doesn't suit them to be on the front foot. I just think that your man Jackson up front actually really impressed me with his movement and the runs in behind, and I think that Chelsea could hit West Ham on the break as West Ham, if they come at them, they get caught, and I think Chelsea will win 2-1.
All right, cool. Just on West Ham, just on Chelsea first of all. Luke Jackson, I'd never heard of him, but I mean, watching him yesterday, there was one particular moment where like he received the ball maybe 25 yards out. He could have checked back. He didn't. He just went. He just ran straight at the defence. And again, Gary Neville was even commenting on commentary. It's something that you're kind of seeing. You don't see as much these days. They usually kind of check back, hold up the ball for someone else to come into play. But he literally just got the ball and drove at them. Yeah. And he did.
His story is he was a winger, and then been around a lot of injuries up front, and then he got moved up front and he started banging them in. I think that's his.
All right.
His story. But I know again knew very little about him, but I just thought he was very impressive yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on West Ham, I know you've no time for Harry Maguire, but I think actually.
No, me is it?
Yeah. Do you not like Harry Maguire?
No. I think Harry Maguire will go into West Ham. West Ham play.
I think he'll be a very good sign for West Ham.
Yeah. Because he the way West Ham play, he'll suit them. He doesn't suit United. United play a high line. He's not pace. He's not good enough on the ball. Where West Ham go back to front. I just think. In regards to Man United fans will be happy to see the back of him. I think he's a good signer for West Ham. Oh, definitely.
I do. No, I agree. I think
he's on the bench tonight anyway, so he's not going anywhere in the next day. I don't think.
Yeah. How much is he going to go for? Do you reckon? What do you reckon is his fee?
They're saying 30.
30 million. I think the problem is Maguire doesn't want to go to West Ham. That's his problem. He wants to fight for his place. He doesn't know what he doesn't know when he's going to he doesn't.
Johnny Evans is ahead of him in the second order in United now, is he?
Johnny Evans is back. Yeah.
He has this. He's one of these players that, like, you know, bad luck follows him around the place. Harry Maguire, you know, he just can't catch a break. The ball just hits him off his nose and goes in or whatever. You know, it's just he doesn't. He's a bit of a clumsy player, but he's technically good. Like, you know.
Yeah. I think Cody was fine for West Ham though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. We have a United fan coming on next week as well, who will kind of be giving his thoughts on the comings in and going, what do you call it, transfers over the summer. And yeah, that'll be interesting. A West Ham fan and the United fan on next week. So predictions for next week are done. We will see next week who has done well and who we can laugh at. Howard, you're kind of leading at the moment. So this segment, fantasy football. So this is something that this is Dan's creation actually. He decided we should do this for the podcast as well. I fully agree. I think it's a great idea. The response was excellent. We had around 30 people sign up for
35, I think. Yeah.
35. That's brilliant. And thank you for everyone who has signed up. Also, Dan's idea to give a first prize for the winner at the end of the season for fantasy football. So it will be a club jersey of your choice. And as well as that, you'll get the coveted FFP trophy.
Ooh.
So, as you can see, the arm is missing. Kieran bit that off when he was a child. Oh, what are you joking? But yeah, no, 35 people. That's brilliant. And Dan, I know you're big into fantasy football. How are you into it?
Yeah, I've been into it the last few years, but it's always been a case where, I get enthusiastic and get all for it for the first few weeks, and then I start to tail off, and then
Yeah.
and then it ends up being I'm in a separate league with a few of my mates, and we're doing this thing this year now. It's like 20 quid pot per month for the best thing. So at least hopefully this year I'll be able to keep my eye on it for longer. Yeah, keep my interest in it, because once you start falling off the wagon there, you'll literally.
Yeah, I know. In fairness to Dan, like, he is very big into it, and he's consistent about it. So, Dan, you have a bit of an update for us. So go for it.
No, it's just as great. So we have 35 in the league. As you can well imagine, Haaland was the most captain player of game week 1. And I actually hadn't captained him. I captained Saka, who was the second most captain player in fantasy football for the first week. But Haaland, yeah, I think is owned by over like nearly 80% or 80 something percent of all fantasy football, and there's over 11.5 million that are doing fantasy football, and I think over 80% Haaland in their team. So yeah, he was the most captain player. Then Zach, I think Rashford, then they were kind of the top 3 there. Yeah, my captain, was Saka. Done all right. Had an okay week, got 60 odd points. Unfortunately, I'm only Rashford tonight. I think there's a lot of people have gone treble up in United. They have 3 United players in their side. I've seen from what I've looked at online. There was 1 or 2 going to call out here. Alan Malloy, a friend of mine who's down near the bottom of our league. He doesn't have Haaland in his team at all.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I wouldn't mind. He's a big fan of him, but he just obviously decided to spread his money elsewhere. And he is currently near the bottom of the table. So
Dan, I just saw that. I look at the table here. His name is Hurt Locker FC. So he's in for a load of pain by the sound of it.
He is praying every week that Haaland does his ACL.
Oh my God. Jeez. You know what? If he hasn't put Haaland in the team, he deserves to be near the bottom.
Yeah. So I give a big shout out there to Paul Breslin. I know Paul is a big Liverpool fan, and he is currently top of the table. I also know Keenan Cunningham there, who's I think second behind him. Now the way it's looking, because obviously United are playing tonight. If United have a good night tonight, that table will change. I think Keenan has a few United players on the side. And then Claire B, I think Friday Night Lights. So Claire, would you believe it, is husband and wife there, Paul and Claire. So Claire is my cousin, and they are first and third in the league, and they're both big Liverpool fans. So shout out to both of them. They've had a good start.
Hold on a sec. There's a husband and wife.
Yeah.
In fantasy football in the same league, and one's in first, second, and third.
Yeah. They're obviously they're colluding together.
There's gonna be rows.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna be sleeping on the couch at the end of the season. You know that. Honestly, well, fair play to them. Absolutely.
Yeah. But looking down the table, there's a few that I think if United have a good night tonight, that league will
change.
Just 1 or 2 other findings I came across. Burnley, Brownhill, Cork, and Murrich of Burnley, they all captained Haaland on Friday night in their fantasy footballs. I seen a post online. So it's a funny one, isn't it? Considering they're playing they all Haaland. But and just one other thing. Looking at kind of from the game week 1, Rashford. So 3 of the top 10 selected in game week 1 are inactive tonight. So Rashford, Fernandes, and Onana were 3 of the top 10 players selected by people in game week 1. So that'll be interesting to see how United obviously get on. I'm just looking forward to the weekend. I think you'd want to be putting in a few Liverpool players that are home against Bournemouth, so you'd imagine that they should be getting a few goals against them. But look,
and in the out of the sorry to interrupt you, Dan. Out of the 35 in the table, where are you after week 1?
Hang on now. I think I'm my 9th or 10th. I think me and Howard were near enough around the same actually. Howard, is that right?
Exact same points, yeah.
Yeah. Me and Howard are, in around that. 1 second.
Boofers FC and Howard's Web are all
Howard's Web. So I'm 9th Howard.
Yeah, that's what you call your team.
I'm Spoofers
Howard's
FC.
Web.
He's
Howard's Web, yeah. That was just a last minute decision.
There is some great names, actually. I don't know, like I call them out. There's some really good ones. There's my brother is Jimmy Floyd Bottlebank.
I like that one.
Yeah. Which I thought was a good one. Having Jota Clue was another one.
That's a good one.
We had Howard's Web is good actually. Yeah.
Howard's Web is genius. Fair play to him, man.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a simple one to get. I wouldn't have thought that. Fair play.
Yeah. Let me see. The Kanate Kid was another one.
Oh yeah.
Kelleher's Heroes, Only Cruel and Horses.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And I do like Hurt Locker FC. Oh yeah, and Oh Na Na Na, What's My Name? That's a good one as well, actually.
Oh, that's excellent. That's brilliant. Yeah,
That's doing the rounds, isn't it? That song.
Yeah. But
Very
so
good.
anyway, that's the first week. There are 35 in it. I said you can still join, and we'll still keep promoting the code.
Yeah.
I know you if you haven't joined, you still can. You have a chance to win that jersey. And sure, look, it is a bit of crack. You do take Howard's point though. It's kind of like if you don't have something to kind of keep it interesting, a lot of people do kind of dwindle off. What would be very interesting to see is how many people after week 1 are going to use their wild card. I have someone in the past that has done that, and like after the first week or two, you're like, "Fuck this!"
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know, wild card option means basically you can change your whole team for free. And you have 2 of them a season, one before Christmas and one after. So that seems to be a theme as well. But in the first couple of weeks, there's usually a wild card gets dropped. So anyway,
Cool.
good crack.
All right. Yeah, no, it sounds really good. And again, thank you very much to all 35 who have signed up so far. You can still do so. And finally, just before we finish up this evening, guys, I'm just giving a quick mention of Monksland United, their last man standing competition. There were 205 people have taken part in it, and over the weekend, 12 have been eliminated so far. I had Brighton, so I'm into the next round. Dan, who did you have?
I had Arsenal. Yeah, it's simple.
Safely into the next round. Yeah, just best of luck to them with the season to come. I know they have won, I suppose, the Paddy Cotter Cup last 2 seasons in a row. Clara Town have actually won the league and the Counties Cup. Sorry, apologies. Clara have won the league and the Paddy Cotter Cup the last 2 seasons, whereas Monksland have won the Counties Cup. So Monksland are going out this season to get their title back, which they won a few years ago. So the best of luck to them this season.
Have they called you back?
No, they haven't called me back as of yet. I'm still waiting on a phone call. I thought when I made contact with them about this last man standing thing, it might be,
Yeah.
They might call me back, but they may still do so. The season doesn't start until the weekend of the 9th and 10th. So,
So tight.
I lived a rock and roll life for too long, man. It destroyed me. My days of football are on the AstroTurf now. Okay, man, that was good crack. Thank you very much. We'll be back on next week. And again, you can contact the Football Fanatic Podcast on Instagram at Football Fanatic Podcast, by email, footballfanaticpodcast@gmail.com. Most importantly, you can hit that subscribe button below. We're on YouTube. And again, thank you very much for everyone for listening, watching. And Dan and Howard, much appreciated.
Cheers, Zach.
Thanks, Zach. Cheers, Zach.
All right, guys. Have a good evening, okay? Take care.
Thanks.